A mopey blackmailer is embroiled in a murder plot against his life, and that's all I can really say without spoiling this movie's big awesome twist. We're kicking off our series on Coen Brother movie regulars with Johnny Skidmarks, starring Frances McDormand, today on Nothing Movies. For sure.
Lost chunks especially during the COVID days where
when we had to record over Zoom and whatnot.
God.
Yeah, good times.
Good times. I love listening back.
Certainly.
I don't think any of this should make it in.
Okay, do you got an opening?
Well, we're just having, we're having one of those classic
riffing kind of,
riffing conversations,
off the cuff kind of stuff, yeah.
In the hopes that maybe something interesting will be said. Welcome back! However, nope.
And there's our opening.
Stronger every time.
I know, right?
Welcome back.
We just keep getting better with age.
However
like
you
Selma Hayek.
Not untrue.
Yeah.
Not untrue. Welcome back, however you wish to self-identify, to Nothing Movies, where we ask the question, the fuck is this? It's the podcast where we go through an actor's filmography and choose the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made, and decide whether or not they've got a certain something, or if they're just a whole lot of nothing. I'm Kaz Leskar.
I'm Jameson Rafter.
And today we're starting a new mini-series. It's always fun to do this. We are going to talk about 3 movies with a common theme, and this time around we're in a tight spot! Because we're Dapper Dan men.
Yes.
And the rug really tied the room together. Quick, give me another one.
Oh, what's the fucking line from Fargo?
All this for a little amount of money. It's such a beautiful day. Nightcrawlers. I don't know. Now I'm just like naming like single lines of dialogue from Coen Bro. We're going to talk about Joel and Ethan Coen.
Yes, and the actors that appear frequently in their projects.
Yes, because we're not talking about the Coen brothers films themselves, because they haven't really made a nothing movie. You could make an argument for, I guess, I don't know, Intolerable Cruelty. That's kind of their movie that maybe exists the least. But we're not talking about them directly. Instead, we are talking about the character actors that make up the Coen brothers films. And today, we are inarguably talking about the most important one. The most important collaborator to the Coen brothers as filmmakers, and in the case of Joel, his life.
Yes, okay, that makes sense.
Mrs. Joel Coen herself, Frances McDormand, 4-time Academy Award winner.
God damn, yeah.
One of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, I mean, when you compare, like, just living legends of working actresses, the top of the pyramid is always going to be, like, Meryl Streep and Frances McDormand.
Absolutely.
And just, like, the 1 and 2 there, yeah.
The most decorated, the most, celebrated. The most celebrated. And the ones that you can just always guarantee are going to turn in incredible work, despite what kind of movie they're in. Case in point, 1998's Johnny Skidmarks.
Yes.
A movie that, I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit here. A movie where, technically speaking, you could take Frances McDormand's entire role in this movie, cut it out with some safety scissors, and just remove it, and the plot itself would not change a bit. But I will argue, having Frances McDormand here makes all the difference, because unsurprisingly, I think she's fucking great in this movie.
She really elevates the material, that's for sure, because there's just like a natural cynicism that I think she brings to this kind of role, which is kind of perfect for the character. Funny you should say that you could remove her character. There's another character you can cut entirely from this movie, and we'll get to it.
But then you would have like no suspects, Jameson, because this is a noir. This is like a mystery. It is a character trying to figure out who's out to get him.
It really reeked of like we need. Hey, here's a studio note for you. We need some more suspects. And while you're at it, can you throw in maybe like some comedy relief? And the screenwriter begrudgingly went like, oh fun, I guess.
Yeah, and they added that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But no, you're right, and she's such a she adds such a cynicism to this movie, and she's such a great femme fatale because yes, she always carries with her just like this air of she's just over it.
Yeah.
Like she's just like, oh, I'm in a mystery. Ah, god damn it,
son of a bitch.
I got like so much other stuff going on
Yeah,
today.
you gotta clean up the garage. Like, just a reluctant movie star. Like
Yes.
Harrison Ford.
But Johnny Skidmarks, a movie whose entire cultural legacy comes from a single interview given by Jack Black, one of the stars of this movie, in which he reminded the interviewer that skid marks is a slang term for poop stains in underwear.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that unfortunate movie title.
Yes, exactly.
Modern slang, or even modern slang, like slang of like the 90s or
I'm,
whatever.
I'm fairly certain that term existed back in 1998.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was curious as to wonder why the character was nicknamed Johnny Skidmarks, and it never comes up.
Well, it's sort of implied too, because Johnny Skidmark, the titular Johnny Skidmarks, played by Peter Gallagher, who we'll get to the movie, he's a crime scene photographer. So he's a bit of a night crawler,
Sure.
to use like a more modern parlance, referring to another movie. Which, now that I think about it, night crawler could also be a term for poop stains in your underwear.
How?
Because if you're wearing underwear in bed, you're in the night. They start crawling out of your butt. I don't know. Whatever.
I think you should see a doctor, Kaz. Like, what's going on here?
Oh yeah, no. I stopped wearing underwear entirely.
Yo.
It's more of just like a large trash bag now. Yeah, it's just like, and I had to find the one that sort of like rustles the least when I do these things. See, listen. You can barely hear anything.
The crinkling,
here.
yeah. So Frances McDormand, celebrated actress.
Yes, this is how we're starting talking.
This is how we're honoring her career.
One of the greatest actors of the current age. Yes, 4 Academy Awards. You loved her in Fargo. You were blown away with her performance in 3 Billboards Out of Ebbing, Missouri, and you thought she was fine in Nomadland, but that movie came out in the pandemic, so we had to give the Oscar to something. Boy, did you ever see Nomadland?
No, man, I haven't.
Talk about a movie that has completely faded from my memory. Just one of the most inconsequential Best Picture winners, I think, to ever exist. It's just
more like No Man, bland.
But Franny McD,
To her friends.
old Frances, because she's a barrel of laughs, was born Cynthia Ann Smith.
Oh, okay.
She was adopted at the age of 1.5 and renamed Frances Louise McDormand. Both of her siblings are also adopted.
Okay.
And her child, with husband Joel Cohen, is also adopted. So a big advocate for taking in kids who need a little something. She has said in interviews that she believes that her biological mother, who she has described herself as well as proudly white trash.
Okay.
She's quite proud of those roots. She says that her biological mother may have been a parishioner of her adopted father's church.
Oh, no.
So a little bit of drama, a little bit of family drama, but who knows what happened? Who knows what happened behind the scenes?
I certainly don't.
And I don't either, because
But you did all the research.
I look at Wikipedia and I change the wording. I change the wording of what we talk about, and that's what my research is. She graduated from the Yale School of Drama in 1982. While living in New York, working as a theater actor, her roommate was future Raising Arizona co-star Holly Hunter.
Oh, okay. Huh.
And eventually, they would be joined by 2 other roommates, her future husband and collaborator Joel Cohen, and other filmmaker Sam Raimi.
I think I knew that.
Yeah, all 4 of them used to live together in a house, and you can only imagine
all the shenanigans that those people got up to.
You can only imagine the parties that must have gone down.
Man, very different filmmaking philosophies between the Coen brothers and Sam Raimi.
But their early careers are tied together too. Like you can see in their early careers, like them helping each other out. Joel and Ethan co-wrote Sam Raimi's second film, Crime Wave. They also cameo in it. Frances also has a cameo in that as a nun.
I remember there being some very Sam Raimi-esque camera trickery in Raising Arizona.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe he kind of did like a second unit or did some, I don't know, behind the
I
camera.
think they did do second unit work in their early films together, and also the Hudsucker Proxy.
Yeah, that's a great film.
Both Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell have acting roles.
That's
in
right,
that one.
yeah.
So yeah, they remained buds for a while. Eventually, they stopped cameoing in other films, but they got busy. They got busy making No Country for Old Men and Spider-Man. So
Gotcha.
they can't always stay together forever. My personal podcast addiction that I believe I've mentioned on this show in the past is Blank Check with Griffin and David, which is a show where they cover the filmographies of directors.
Right.
And something that I personally have to work on when producing this show with you, Jameson, is checking my own brain to make sure that what I'm saying on the mic isn't just me ripping something off from them.
Okay.
Either a bit or like a factoid
or a reference
or a reference for something. So every year Blank Check holds a March Madness bracket where the listeners can vote on the next director they're going to cover. And this year the winners of the bracket were the Coen brothers. So I am thrilled for once that I get to put my thoughts on the Coen brothers down on a microphone before I hear what their thoughts are.
So they can rip off you.
Exactly, for once. For once I'm beating them to the punch. Because it's hard sometimes. I don't know if you feel this way, but it's hard sometimes to, I probably listen to podcasts about movies far more than you do.
I listen to a lot of historical podcasts and like podcasts that are hosted by comedians.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I find it hard sometimes, even when I'm not even recording myself, when I'm just like talking to my friends about movies, I do have to sort of like hold that thought in my head as all like, is this what you think? Or are you parroting something that you heard someone else say? Because it's tough, because the lines blur sometimes, because sometimes you share opinions with other people. So it's tough.
I mean, if you're on the same wavelength as someone, it's hard for you not to agree with those terms. And in some cases, they might be able to put those thoughts of yours into words better than you could.
Absolutely.
Maybe they're just like a little bit more practiced at it or a little more disciplined. This isn't a criticism.
Every podcast I listen to is better at it than what I do.
What we do.
Absolutely. But I mentioned this because we're on the whole roommate situation. A story that I did hear from Blank Check is that the reported fifth roommate in this house at the time.
The roommates of the Coen.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Apparently was Kathy Bates.
Oh, jeez.
And the interesting point that they bring up is that Kathy Bates has never starred in a Coen Brothers movie or a Sam Raimi movie. So the theory is that she was the roommate that didn't get along with anyone.
Oh,
She was the one that they were having parties, and she was the one that was all like, guys,
keep it down.
I got work in the morning.
Who ate my takeout?
Exactly. But I just thought I would bring that up, and I wanted
There's a chore wheel, guys.
Exactly this. These are all the bits that they did on that Much Better podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, her debut film, unsurprisingly, is the Coen Brothers' debut film, Blood Simple, a fantastic neo-noir film about scummy people having affairs and hiring scummy private eye. It has the scummiest private eye in cinema history, and what's that? Emmett Walsh. Oh, just like one of the best guys. But yeah, it's the Coen Brothers' first film. It's her first film. It came out in 1984, which is also the year that her and Joel tied the knot.
Oh, okay.
They have been married for 41 years.
Good for them.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. It's one of the
one of the more successful show business marriages, I'd say.
Absolutely. They're collaborators in life and in art.
Boy, bit of a risky proposition of the director, starting to court one of his stars. Like there can be some, shady goings on between
there's
that. Like
lots of history.
The whole Hollywood casting couch, unfortunately, but they seem fine. They seem like unproblematic whatsoever.
Their relationship apparently lasted longer than the Coen brothers' relationship themselves, because they are now, of course, making films independently of each other.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Their last film together was Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and since then, Ethan has formed a partnership with his wife, who's a screenwriter, and they are making a series of lesbian crime comedies. They made Drive Away Dolls last year, and this year they're coming out with Honey Don't.
Well, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
Man, I love the Coen brothers.
The Coen brothers are great.
I know.
I would love it if they got back together, but
Oh, I'm sure they will.
eventually.
I don't think there's like
No.
a falling out between the two of them.
Who knows? It hasn't really been reported as to why they stopped making movies together.
Just
But
to
I'm
switch it up, I guess.
I'm sure that eventually they will get back together after they've gone through this period. But
Yeah, I love a good Coen brothers
back
movie.
to Frances.
Yes.
She has a small cameo in Crime Wave, as I mentioned. 1987, the second Coen brothers film, Raising Arizona. She appears as Dot, who is best friends with Holly Hunter and Nick Cage. She has the big family, so she's sort of like the couple that they're trying to emulate when they kidnap the baby. 1988, her first Oscar nomination for Mississippi Burning, which is a film about two cops played by Willem Dafoe and Gene Hackman who go to the Mississippi after 3 civil rights activists are murdered. She plays the wife of a Klansman who helps them solve the mystery. Following the trajectory of her Oscar nomination, she stars in prison drama Chattahoochee with Gary Oldman and Dennis Hopper, and political thriller Hidden Agenda with Brian Cox and Brad Dourif. So she's always in a movie with like good co-stars.
Yeah.
She's always if she's not supporting them, they're supporting her.
Yeah, very good. I wasn't going to word for it.
Chattahoochee?
No, not movie titles.
I just wanted to say that's a fun word to say.
I'm gonna credit all that to like her having like a good instinct on what roles to pick for herself, or maybe just like insisting on the agent. You make sure that there's like some heavy hitters co-starring with me.
Well,
she seems to insist on that.
Yes, well, famously in her Oscar acceptance speech for 3 Billboards,
which is always a fun rewatch.
inclusion writer. Yes, she's been demanding the proper treatment since basically the very beginning of her entire career. 1990, she stars in a Sam Raimi film, Proper, with Darkman.
Oh man,
Just a great fucking movie, which I feel like is kind of underrated in the Sam Raimi filmography.
And also in just the pantheon of superhero movies. I think that it came out after Batman 89.
It came out the year after Batman 89, and I believe the story is that Sam Raimi really wanted to do The Shadow, which is a movie that eventually got made a couple of years after. But when he couldn't get the rights to The Shadow, he said, "Fuck it, I'll just do that character, but I'll just
Let's call him something different.
I'll just change it, and I'll create my own superhero,
legally
basically."
distinct.
Absolutely, and it's a completely original creation. And it's a fun as hell movie, and of course it has one of the greatest moments in cinema history where Liam Neeson shoves a stuffed animal in Frances McDormand's face and say, "What is it? I'm fucking it up. What's the animal though?
Isn't it a bunny or is it
Take the fucking bunny.
Yeah.
Take the fucking rabbit. I can't remember, but take it's the elephant. Take the fucking elephant. Take the fucking elephant. Oh man, just some great shit. Always a fun watch. Darkman. She's in the next 2 Coen brothers films, but in tiny uncredited roles. She plays the mayor's secretary in Miller's Crossing, and she is the voice of a stage actress in Barton Fink, so she's not even in that movie.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask like I saw her on the IMDb list and she was credited in Barton Fink, and I was like, I don't remember her being in Barton Fink. I don't remember there being any women in Barton Fink.
There's one woman.
There's one woman,
and spoiler alert, doesn't turn out great for her. But apparently it's just a voiceover cameo in that. But that uncredited voiceover cameo is enough to push her over the edge as the most frequent Coen brothers collaborator.
Okay.
And after all that, she's in a string of movies that don't really exist. The Butcher's Wife with Demi Moore and Jeff Daniels, Crazy in Love back with Holly Hunter, The Good Old Boys with Tommy Lee Jones and Sissy Spacek, Beyond Rangoon with Patricia Arquette. She's in Passed Away, which is an ensemble comedy about a family funeral that I owned on VHS growing up because Tim Curry is in it.
Oh, of course.
So of course that's why I've seen that. 1996 is a huge year for her. She's in 3 movies. She's in the great John Sayles Western noir film Lone Star.
Oh, yeah.
She's in the legal thriller Primal Fear, which introduced the world to Edward Norton.
Yeah, that's no spoiler alerts, but it's considered like one of the first great twist endings.
I feel like you can probably spoil Primal Fear at this point in time. That movie's been around for a while now.
Edward Norton did it. He's a maniac.
He's a maniac.
Yeah.
He's crazy. But of course, all of that is trumped by the fact that 1996 is the year of Fargo, and
Yeah.
she brought the world Marge Gunderson,
Oof.
one of the greatest characters in all of movies.
One of the most iconic performances of the 90s, one of the most standout female lead roles in a film. And a lot of it is just carried by the fact that she solves the case using nothing but her common sense, her judgment, her intelligence, all while being fucking pregnant, which doesn't really factor into anything at all. Like the first
She
time.
stops to puke like once.
Yeah.
And outside of that, it's never an impediment.
Like the first time I watched Fargo, I was just so worried that there was going to be a moment where it's her chasing after Peter Stormare there, and then all of a sudden her water breaks. But the Coen brothers are not hacks; they didn't do that. And yeah, it's a iconic fucking role, and yeah, she knocked it out of the park.
And it's just another classic movie about there's just like a whole bunch of scummy characters trying to fuck each other over, and then right in the center of that is Marge, who's just a decent human being,
just a nice person,
and just remains that way. And it's kind of the most hopeful of the Coen brothers movies, even though lots of people,
pretty gruesome.
Lots of people die, and
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi gets fed into a wood chipper or whatever. But it ends on such a hopeful note with her in bed with her husband.
Mhm. Just supportive of his duck paintings and everything. Yeah.
Also, one of the best movie husbands in all of film.
Sure, just makes her eggs first thing in the
makes
morning.
her eggs and gets his night crawlers, and that's all he wants.
Yeah.
But it's such a great example of like an economy of a leading character, because whenever you watch Fargo, the thing that you forget is that she doesn't show up until like 40 minutes into the movie.
Nope.
The whole first chunk of it is like all William H. Macy leading everything up. But then as soon as she shows up, it's like, yeah, this is her movie.
Yeah.
She's running this fucking thing now.
You can't take any part out of Fargo without it like completely collapsing on itself. I love the Fargo movie. I really love the Fargo TV show, and I think the TV show gave me a new appreciation of the Fargo movie, even though I already kind of really held it in high regard. Yeah, just like the extraordinary situations in the most mundane kind of setting with like just these quirky individuals that just come into like such a great blend. I love it. I love the whole. It's a good encapsulation of what the Coen brothers do best.
I know the whole point of the Fargo TV show isn't necessarily to follow the events of the movie, even though I know that they touch on certain events.
They tip their hat more than once to the filmography of the Coens.
If they ever come back for a sixth season, okay, maybe they should stop. But if they ever come back for a sixth season, I was thinking something cool that they could do. I don't know, maybe this is hacky or not. They should bring Stormare back. Stormare, because like it's like,
man, they don't.
I mean, I know he murders a bunch of people, so it's not like he would get out of prison. But like, what if he like broke out of prison?
Oh, you mean actually bring back one of their characters?
No, I mean bring back the character of
okay.
Gert. That's his name, right? Yeah. Gert Grummond.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the show's kind of trying to do its own things. I don't think there's been a single frequent collaborator of the Coens that have been in one of the series.
Yeah, it's a Noah Hawley joint and less of a Coen Brothers thing. But anyway, that was just a passing thought I had the other day. Because he's still alive. I was trying to think like who are the characters of Fargo that are still alive.
There's a lot of characters.
Or
from
Macy.
Like the show.
Bring back Macy could get out of jail.
Maybe
because he didn't actively commit murder.
All I'm saying is like there are a lot of characters that have. It's an anthology show, but there's a lot of characters that cross over between seasons or reference. So they got their own economy of characters.
What's his name? Who takes Marge on the awkward date?
Oh no!
An entire season about that loser.
Yeah, just still trying to pick up women at his age.
So following her Oscar win, she is in the Tony Awards drama Paradise Road with Glenn Close and Cate Blanchett. 1998, she's in Madeline. The adaptation of the classic children's novel.
Is she the nun?
She is Miss Clavel. She is, yes, and she's
okay.
That's like one of like the few times where she is the name above the title, and it's a movie directly aimed at
kids,
children. It's the rare Frances McDormand vehicle.
Okay,
she's normally
a supporting actor,
second build, but so that's that. 2000, she's in two great movies. She's in Wonder Boys. It's a fantastic movie that I haven't watched in a really long time about Michael Douglas as an unscrupulous writer. I believe she's the dean of a school that he's having an affair with. But more importantly, she's in Almost Famous.
Yeah, a great movie, which it's one of my dad's favorite movies because he insists that the lead of that movie looked exactly like how he looked at that age.
Billy Crudup?
Yeah.
Oh,
And I've seen old pictures of my dad, and it's like, I can see it.
Sure. Billy Crudup in that movie looked like most of our dads in the 70s.
Mhm.
I think I have to imagine.
Yeah.
But I mean, Almost Famous, another movie just absolutely spoiled for great performances.
Oh, I
Philip,
mean, the thing that can't go unmentioned without Almost Famous is that it stars a bunch of supporting actors who were almost famous, and then after the movie came out, they eventually became famous.
I suppose, yes.
Yeah.
She was one of the few actors who was already famous,
Already famous.
before they got there. But yes, but she gets another supporting actress nomination for that. Well deserved. 2001, back with the Coen brothers for The Man Who Wasn't There.
Mm.
I haven't watched that movie in a while. I'm excited to rewatch all the Coen brothers movies.
Yeah.
Recently, but yeah, that's another black and white
That's
noir movie.
Yeah.
James Gandolfini, Billy Bob Thornton, a young Scarlett Johansson,
And Aliens.
and aliens.
Yeah. Isn't that the one where
Oh
they're...
my god, I can't. If there are aliens in that, I genuinely did not remember that.
Isn't that the one where Billy Bob Thornton is like in a prison yard at night, and then he looks up in the sky and there's a UFO, and
Is
then
it?
yeah, and then he doesn't pay any attention to it because his life's already it's already over. He's already resigned to fate.
Note to self: rewatch The Man Who Wasn't There immediately to confirm this.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that's true or if
I might be thinking of another Coen Brothers
I'll
movie.
I'll give it to you, man. It sounds like something that could totally happen. 2002, she's in Laurel Canyon with Christian Bale, City by the Sea with Robert De Niro. 2003, she's in Something's Gotta Give, playing Diane Keaton's sister, who says, oh, that Jack Nicholson, he's a real cad, but maybe you can find love. Very forgettable role that
I ain't
doesn't
watching
give her
it.
anything to do. 2005, she's in two films with Charlize Theron that are complete polar opposites of each other. One is the film North Country, which is another big Oscar bait drama about sexual assault at like a mill that Charlize Theron has to go on trial to defend herself. Both her and Charlize got Oscar nominations for that. The other film they make is the adaptation of the MTV cartoon Aeon Flux.
Oh fuck me!
Yeah.
Oh Jesus!
Which everyone has forgotten that happened, and by all accounts is not terribly good at all. But it's just very crazy that they made one of them and then immediately went to set for the next one. Very strange. 2008. She's the titular Miss Pettigrew in Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day, which I've never seen, but I just like that title. It's just, I like, a good double feature is Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day and Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. That's just a fun Sunday
Double
afternoon.
bill. Gotcha.
Sunday afternoon with your mom. But she's also in Burn After Reading.
Yeah.
I think her most slept on Coen Brothers performance. She's so funny in that.
You know, one thing about Coen Brother movies is that I'm either going to love them the first time I watch them, or I'm going to love it the second time I watch it.
That's a second viewer.
And Burn After Reading was definitely one of those ones where I was like, I kind of get it, but I have to let it marinate. And then like years later, I rewatched it, and then it was like, okay, yeah, this is fucking great.
Yeah. It's hilarious. Like, everyone's kind of at the top of their game. I kind of think that's my favorite Brad Pitt performance.
It's pretty good.
Of anything he does.
Yeah, everyone's just a moron, but he's like the biggest moron.
Yes. 2011, 2012, weirdly, she goes through a period where she stars in the third entry in a franchise. 2011, she's in Transformers Dark of the Moon.
Oh, she is? Oh, Frances, what are you doing?
Michael Bay loves Coen Brothers actors.
Yeah, John Turturro's in all the Transformers,
John
right?
Turturro's in most of the Transformers. Dark of the Moon actually has John Turturro, Frances McDormand, and John Malkovich in it. I have no idea why the cast is so good for the third Transformers movie, but like it's true over all of Michael Bay's movies. Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare are in Armageddon. Like you go through it all, it's all like, yeah, he must love these movies because he keeps casting he must say to himself, it's all like, these are actors. So if I put actors in my movies,
they can't criticize me for all the
then
special
they'll
effects.
be movies. But yeah,
maybe he like crashed on that couch of theirs when they were all roomies once, and he
he
owes them a favor.
I think he's from a different generation, but yeah.
But Michael Bay kind of strikes me as a guy who was couch
as
surfing
a
for a
couch
while.
surfer. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so she plays like some government suit who gives a lecture to Optimus Prime at one
Sure,
point.
yeah.
Just it's a good lesson to learn. You can have four.
You knock it off, you giant robots. Or we'll put sanctions on you.
I'm pretty sure she wags a finger and says the word sanction at one
you're
point
not
in time.
authorized to do what you're doing,
You
Autobots.
listen. You can have 4 Academy Awards, and at the end of the day, sometimes you still gotta share a scene with Bumblebee.
Yes.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Sometimes you gotta get a new patio set or whatever.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm sure the payday was great.
Yeah.
She got to hang out with John Malkovich. I'm sure it was great. 2012, she's also in Madagascar 3, Escape to Europe,
Okay.
where she plays the human antagonist who is a French police officer who's trying to get those
gendarme.
Aha! I'm trying to get the lion, you understand. Madagascar 3, weirdly the only Madagascar film written by Noah Baumbach, which I guess is less weird in a post-Barbie era, but still, I thought that was weird back in the day. That
I don't know who that is.
An actual filmmaker.
Okay.
Also in 2012, she starts the first film with another director she would collaborate a ton with, Wes Anderson. She's in Moonrise Kingdom.
I know I've seen Moonrise Kingdom. I don't remember a thing about it, but I remember liking it at the time.
That is the one that I definitely need to put eyes on again very soon, because yes, I feel like that's a movie like Burn After Reading that will be better the second time I watch it. The thing that I know is that like Moonrise Kingdom is the last great Bruce Willis performance.
Yeah.
Before he
decided to just like, all right, scan my likeness.
Time to just like make as much money as possible. But yeah, he's very good in Moonrise Kingdom. 2012, she's in the fracking movie Promised Land, co-written and starring Matt Damon and John Krasinski. That's a real message movie. It's all like, how can we use our celebrity to make an important message movie about this. 2014, she's in the miniseries Olive Kitteridge with Bill Murray and Richard Jenkins, for which she gets an Emmy. 2015, she's the voice of Mama Dinosaur in The Good Dinosaur, Pixar's Most Nothing movie. 2016, she's in Hail Caesar, a very small role as a film editor. I'm hard pressed to remember if she even has any lines.
She does, but like very few. She's like a very taciturn kind of character. That's another one of those Coen brothers where I liked it more on the second viewing.
Yes. 2017, she gets her second Oscar for 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
Well deserved, I'd say.
Well deserved. A movie not without its controversy, but still a very funny movie. Very, very sharp writing, and she's terrific in it. And then, 2018, she does a voice for Isle of Dogs again for Wes Anderson. 2020, the aforementioned Nomadland, which she wins her 3rd Best Actress and also picks up a 4th Oscar for producing that movie. Nomadland. Yeah, man. The thing that's weird about that movie, right, is that it's a movie about like these people who don't like they're like unhoused. They like live in like trailers in like the middle of the desert, and everyone in that movie is like playing themselves. Like they're not actors, they're just actual people who live this way. And then you just drop Frances McDormand in the middle of it. And we just follow her. And it's just all like, but that's famous actor Frances McDormand. There's a disconnect when watching that movie.
Well, she's using her skills as an actor to portray someone who lives in a trailer park in the middle of nowhere.
I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Just because I think all the real people perform... She's not bad. She's still giving she's incapable of giving a bad performance.
But when you have a bunch of people who aren't actors and you're doing like a narrative film run,
you
kind of need like one good, solid, experienced actor to sort of anchor everything together.
I mean, that's what she does. She's an anchor.
That's what Roddy Piper did in Billy Owens.
Absolutely. They needed that. They needed someone to come and God. 2021, she's in the Wes Anderson film The French Dispatch.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Pretty good. Yeah, that's like a vignette movie. She's like the narrator of one of the vignettes. She is also so Hail Caesar is the final film that she's in, directed by the Coen brothers. As I mentioned, they made one more film, Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and then they went their separate ways. Ethan is working with his wife. To date, Joel's only solo effort is The Tragedy of Macbeth with Denzel Washington. She plays Lady Macbeth.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it's a great adaptation. I think it's a great performance.
I didn't know she was playing Lady Macbeth. She would kill that fucking role.
Oh, she is, of course.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly. Out damn spot. It's great. She's incredible. Denzel's incredible. Stephen Root is really good in that movie. If you can suffer through Shakespeare, that's one to do it with because, yeah, it's a great adaptation. I just think it's interesting. It's like the Coen brothers have broken up. What's Joel doing? Shakespeare. What's Ethan doing? Wacky lesbian comedies. It's all like, this is what they wanted to do the entire time.
I mean, that's why they were such great collaborators.
Absolutely. They brought out the best in each other. And then 2022, she produces and also has a very tiny role in Women Talking. Those women, they do be talking, Jameson.
Oh.
And then that is her last on-screen role to date. Since then, she has appeared as, unsurprisingly, the voice of God in the TV show Good Omens.
Oh, okay.
Which was a TV show that everyone was enjoying and had no problems with, and then the whole Neil Gaiman thing happened, and now it's kind of awkward.
I've seen like promos for that on Amazon Prime, and it's like I'll get around to watching that. I didn't know it was a Neil Gaiman joint.
Yeah, you might have waited a little too long.
Yeah,
well, look, whatever. Everyone's terrible. Everyone does horrible things. What are we gonna do? Her most recent movie credit to date is another voiceover role. She appears in the film Wolves.
That stupid title
with Brad Pitt and George Clooney.
Yeah, I'm avoiding that movie just because of the title alone.
Yeah, and she just plays the voice of one of the ladies that hires one of them. So just doing a favor for two of her old co-stars. Man, I watched that movie. Let me tell you, that movie is 100% a movie.
Oh, okay.
There's actors in it. They wrote down lines in a script.
They filmed it on celluloid or whatever.
It's so funny that last year... No, they don't film shit on celluloid anymore. Right. What are you talking about?
All right, but using a combination of visuals and sound and editing, they strung together a story.
Light and shadow, that whole thing. Yeah, It's so funny. Last year, we talked about both the careers of George Clooney and Brad Pitt, and we were talking about their nothing movies. And we mentioned at that time is like on the horizon they got this movie Wolves coming out. Little did I know that would be the most nothing movie that both of them are ever in.
Yeah,
that movie.
They waited until like super late in their careers to do something like that.
That movie vanishes from your brain the second after it stops running. Just like what a pointless film. But anyway, there's Franny.
There you go.
There she is. She doesn't have anything on the horizon, but based on everything that I just said,
she doesn't need anything on the horizon.
She don't need to prove a goddamn thing. She can do whatever she wants for the rest of her career.
Absolutely. Yeah. And hopefully not something like Johnny Skidmarks ever again.
Well, it's time to talk about Mr. Skids. It's time
we're hitting the skids.
Johnny Shitstains. We'll take a little break, and when we come back, we'll get into the skid of it all.
We certainly will.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Yes, we are.
Johnny Skidmarks. It was written and directed by John Raffo.
Raffo.
I was just noting right now, he shares the same name as his protagonist. Wow, talk about an author surrogate. John Raffo has 3 screenwriting credits, one of which he directed, which would be Johnny Skidmarks. His other screenwriting credits are Dragon, the Bruce Lee Story.
Oh, okay.
A very weird... a biopic that gets weirder and weirder as the years go on, which notably includes that weird subplot about, like, the specter of death following Bruce Lee around as like an actual monster that he like fights throughout the film, and then like the final time he fights it,
he loses.
Well, it's not that I think he like triumphs, which is weird because he
dies in real life.
But pointedly in the movie, the monster or like the manifestation of like death or whatever says like, I'm coming for you, and then after that I'm coming for your family.
Oh, son of a bitch.
And then the next year is The Crow. So just spectacularly bad timing for that movie.
Or maybe there's an air of truth to it.
Yeah,
maybe Bruce Lee confessed someone to someone.
Maybe John Raffo knew something that nobody else in Hollywood knew. Ooh, conspiracy.
Or he like manipulated things behind the scenes. A real Russ situation going on.
This is a comedy podcast. We just want to stay.
We're all speculation here.
So he wrote that, and then in 1997 he wrote The Relic. Which is Tom Sizemore and Penelope Ann Miller fighting a big toothy monster in a museum.
Oh.
They get like a big crate and like, what's in here? It's the relic, and they open it up. Surprise, it's a monster.
Oh.
Yeah. And then he writes Johnny Skidmarks, and he has no credits other than script revisions past this. So this was not a success for him.
I see.
He has disappeared from the entertainment world following Johnny Skidmarks.
I can hazard a guess as to why.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get into this. It feels like I'm maybe like a little kinder to this movie than it sounds like maybe you are.
There's definitely a point where the energy shifts in the movie into what I'm going to say is a huge
Lithgow energy?
a huge positive, a huge point in this movie's favor. The movie's only like an hour and 35 minutes
very
long.
short, yeah.
The big twist seems to come like 50 minutes into the movie.
And
there's a sizable chunk of
Yeah.
the movie where it's like, oh, this is completely different than what we saw leading up to it.
For the better, I would argue.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, it picks up as it goes on, yes.
But this movie has a lot of holes, and I can definitely see where the seams where they tried to patch it up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
As we mentioned with you can certainly cut out a couple of roles, but to what you were saying, I agree with you. They had to do that because it is a mystery movie, and there is like a conspiracy going on against the titular Johnny Skidmarks. And I think in the first draft, there weren't enough suspects.
Yes, they needed to add a few. Let me be clear. It's a mystery. It's a mystery where the answer is glaringly obvious from the very beginning. But it's a mystery nonetheless.
But how you get there is the important part.
But no, this film does have big first film energy and also big last film energy. So we begin, unsurprisingly, at a crime scene where we meet the titular Johnny Staccato is his
Skidmarks to his friends and enemies.
Question mark? Skidmarks to everyone.
Yeah.
Played by Peter Gallagher. At an interesting point in his career, Peter Gallagher's one of those interesting guys because he was around for all of the 90s, popping up in TV bits and movies, but it's not until the OC that he becomes a big known property.
He's one of those it's that guy kind of actors.
Him of the eyebrows.
Yeah, you see him in a bunch of shit, but you never remember his name. Poor guy. The role I most associate him with is in season 3 of Californication, where he played the dean of a university.
Yeah, he's a big I'm joining a TV show in season 3 type actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a rare leading role for him, and yes, and he is a crime scene photographer, Johnny, who we eventually learn used to have a normal life. He is a widower. He used to be a normal person, but now all he does is take photos of dead bodies, and he seems to be a quite detached, almost shell-shocked individual.
Well, he's in mourning, right?
Yes.
But also, when you're a crime scene photographer, like a CSI guy like he is, I have to imagine you got to have a really strong stomach for this sort of thing. So he's always just saying, you just got to tune it out. Don't think about it. Just put your head down, barrel through, and get the job done, which rubs a lot of people the wrong way. But I totally see where you're coming from.
Well, but it's the same principle behind if you want to be a coroner or a mortician. You do sort of have to, and to a certain extent, a police officer who deals with, crime scenes and dead bodies and stuff like that. You do need to employ a sort of gallows humor to the situation.
Absolutely.
Or you will go insane. It's a horrifying position to be put in, but it's a job that someone has to do.
It's the same thing with doctors, with infantrymen, with astronauts. They all have to be aware that they are working in the shadow of the specter of death, Bruce Lee.
Countless corpses. Yes, absolutely, yeah.
But back to your point about when you are working as a police officer, I don't think he's a cop.
Oh, he's not a cop. I'm saying John Lithgow and them.
Yeah, they mentioned that he's a civilian who is a photographer that they hire out to shoot these.
I don't know how.
I don't know how it works. I don't think that's how it works. I think only actual CSI guys need to be at a crime scene.
I don't know. Maybe this department is on a budget, and they
shoestring
have
budget,
to.
yeah.
They gotta get freelancers to
Yeah.
come and snap all their photos. Yeah, but this opening crime scene, it doesn't even tie into anything. But it just it wants to be like super gnarly. The police officer on the scene is describing that this guy went through a windshield, and then they find a tooth in a tree.
Yeah.
And we think that's gonna be a bigger deal, but actually, it turns out it's nothing. But it's just like a weird, gruesome thing to start off this movie with.
He mentions the line like there was only one survivor and they're gonna have to pay someone to wipe his ass for the rest of his life, and that's why we're here, to put our finger on it. And I'm like, what?
And it looks like they're gonna need buku bucks just to hire someone to wipe his ass for the rest of his life. I mean, that's why the agency sent us out here, to put our finger in.
Finger on the ass?
That's what I was wondering.
Johnny snaps a whole bunch of these photos.
Did you recognize who this other guy?
Yes, it's the guy from
Seinfeld. He was the bookie who kept breaking his thumbs.
I'll be honest, I had actually forgotten that he was in Seinfeld. I recognized him as Pintel from the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise.
Okay.
He's the one who goes, "Hello, Poppet."
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he's the guy that looks like me. Let's be
Sure,
perfectly
yeah.
honest. This movie's kind of character actor city.
Oh, yeah.
I'll mention a couple others when they pop up here. But yeah, he snaps these photos. They say the word ASAP like 80 times in this one scene. I really wanted them to stop saying that. And we meet Johnny. He has a dumb haircut. He's doing a voice. He sounds like a cartoon Barrett sometimes. He's all like, Hey, how's it going?
He's very mumbly.
I'm just taking the photos.
I'm just taking the photos.
I'm just taking the photos.
Like maybe not that extreme, but that's how
extreme,
Peter Gallagher is choosing to play detached.
Yeah. We meet his buddy at the crime scene, Detective John Lithgow, who immediately endears himself to Johnny. He's like the one guy on the force that is like pals with him.
Yeah, friendly and chummy and cracker wise. He's like, you should lighten up every once in a while, Johnny Skidmarks.
Yeah, have a few laughs, Johnny Skidmarks, and John Lithgow has a mean partner that doesn't like Johnny Skidmarks. Wachowski, and he goes, Skidmarks, and then Skidmarks goes, Wachowski.
And it's like, well, okay, what's the beef with these guys? Never elaborated on.
He's just an asshole.
Yeah.
He's just, he's the bad cop to
John Lithgow's good cop.
Good cop,
yeah.
An amazing rug on Lithgow in this scene, which weirdly turns out to be a plot point, because you see someone, a famously bald actor, John Lithgow,
wearing a stupid toupee.
I'm like, well, that's certainly a choice. Turns out it was a choice by the filmmakers.
This is integral to the movie.
We're getting ahead to ourselves. We see him developing the film that he just took, and it turns out he's very particular. He wants like a glossy on this, and he's demanding that these horrible crime scene photos come out in like the best quality. He's nothing if not a perfectionist, Johnny Skidmarks.
Well, also I think that's kind of important for police records.
I agree. I feel like this scene is more like he has standards.
He's a little fussy.
Yeah.
Maybe. I guess so. And we also meet, I guess, like his only other real friend in the world, who works as a late night fry cook at Clown Burger, or whatever the fuck it's called.
I believe he owns Clown Burger.
Yeah, and he's like the sole employee of it.
Yes. Yes.
The perpetually empty Clown Burger, owned by Jack Black, in what I have to assume is like one of his very, very early roles.
Not very, very early, because the next year after this is High Fidelity, so this is right on the cusp of him becoming like a movie star himself. But like this is sort of like Jack Black right at the end of like random character actor role. He plays Jerry, who we eventually learn used to be Johnny's brother-in-law. His sister was Johnny's dead wife, and for reasons than like friendship or attachment or just the fact
general support.
Jerry seems to never have any customers. Johnny just shows up to, yes, as you mentioned, the perpetually empty Clown Burger to have a cup of coffee and a Clown Burger. No. Here's what's confusing: the burger is called the Clown Burger, but the restaurant is called Burger Clown.
Okay. Oh, wonderful.
Yes. I was going over my notes and I realized that was what the distinction is.
And one other thing is that, like, yes, the inside of the restaurant is always empty, but there's always people going through the drive-thru, and I think that's just because Jack Black is a little much. He's
the type of guy who will take your order, but then he'll have like a full conversation with you.
Yeah.
It's what do you expect? It's Jack Black. It's like 90s Jack Black. He's playing like he's playing the comic relief character. Look, what I will say is that compared to like Jack Black of today, this performance is
little toned down.
It's practically subtle as
he's not doing high kissing going like, yeah.
No, he does have a screaming moment later on in the movie,
but it's justified. It's like
I suppose, yeah. Jerry's a bit of an unhinged character.
He's very unhinged. I don't really understand why, but like other people remark, like there's something off about this guy. He's very close with Peter Gallagher's character, so
well, he's unhinged because we need red herrings for this mystery. We need like this, like the scene later on where he yells at Johnny Skidmarks. Johnny comes waves out like, "Is Jack Black the murderer?" And I'm like, I will lose it if Jack Black is the murderer.
Like this completely like
there's no fucking way,
no association with any of this shit going on, and they give him like the dumbest reason for him to be a suspect. All right, and the last and I'm gonna say most crucial aspect of the supporting.
We haven't really gotten to the meat of this movie yet. But.
So Peter Gallagher works with the cops as like a crime scene photographer, but he also moonlights with some blackmailers who go around tricking guys into taking a prostitute to motels and then snapping incriminating pictures of them in bed with the prostitutes.
This is a whole racket that they've got worked out, and yes, we see Johnny get picked up by these two blackmailers. Walter, who is this big loudmouth, who's played by the guy who played the janitor in the Breakfast Club, and the wheelman, Ernie the Wheel, who has a tremendous fashion style. I love this guy's fits.
Yeah.
He's very
his fractal shirts and like
very,
the 70s.
He's very swinger. He's very fucking David Byrne. Yeah, I like this whole deal.
He's like 5'2", but he has like a Conan O'Brien pompadour.
Yes. Looking great, Ernie the Wheel. And and they've set up at a motel with their fourth collaborator, Lorraine, who is a sex worker. And yes, they've all figured this out together. They get rich, affluent business people or whoever, and they wait until Lorraine is in the room with them, and then they sneak into the room and they take the photos and they blackmail them and they collect the money, and Johnny's doing this.
More importantly, they break down the door and get pictures. I guess so in the moment they can save Lorraine from having to go like the distance with these guys.
Well,
but
Walter does sort of wag his finger at Lorraine later, saying like, "Why was the chain on the door that was really sloppy?" I guess the implication is that usually they're able to sneak into the room, but this time the guy managed to put the chain back on the door, so this one was a little sloppier than the last one.
But yeah, like Peter Gallagher's taking all these pictures where the guy's like, he's totally aware that they're in the room. He's like trying to hide his face.
He starts crying like a little baby. His life is over. But that didn't go terribly well. But they got the photos and they got out of the hotel, no problem. And and they all split up. And Johnny gives Lorraine a ride home.
She's a little sweet on him, but he's not ready to move on.
We find out that they had like a tryst once, and Johnny, but Johnny's a solitary soul, and he needs to be by himself. And Lorraine's quite sweet. She says like, "Look, Johnny, we can just be friends. I can rent a movie."
She's concerned for him.
She's like a genuinely nice person, but Johnny is Johnny.
That's right.
And Johnny has to.
And these skid marks, they skid alone.
I gotta get home. I gotta start washing these skid marks out of my fucking drawers. It takes two cycles to get these out. And this is what we know. We know now that Johnny Skidmarks is a crime scene photographer.
But he's got a side hustle.
Who moonlights as a blackmailer. One thing that this movie doesn't do a great job of explaining is why he's a blackmailer.
Yeah.
You assume it's because just the money. I kept waiting for this reveal about like why he's doing such an unscrupulous thing. I guess the idea is that he's just so detached from life and humanity.
Yeah, he's lost a moral compass.
Yeah, he kind of doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
And I was kind of waiting for an explanation, but I feel like as this movie's over, it's just all like, nah, Johnny Skidmarks is just kind of a scumbag. He's
not a good guy.
He's not a good guy. He's a morally complicated character, shall we say.
Sure, yeah. All right, so I assume, a couple of nights later, there is a massive car pileup on the highway where, I don't know what happens, like a semi-truck truck collided with another truck where there's like a lot of dead bodies on the scene. So yeah, Peter Gallagher goes up to take some pictures. He sees that there's one flipped over limousine. There's a dead old rich guy inside. And
this is a pretty effective moment, I found, that where the limo is flipped over and the radio is still playing, and there's like an old croony song playing, and when he switches the radio off, the old guy in the back of the limo starts singing along where the song left off, and that's how he finds out that there's a live one back there. And I'm like, that was kind of a nice constructed little moment there.
Nice touch. Yeah. The soundtrack's kind of interesting in this too, where it gets pretty bombastic in times, and then there's a lot of old country standards that creep through.
Well, I was about to say, in the scene previous to this, he goes back to his apartment, which is like primarily a black room, so he can develop his photos. And interesting, I thought, is that his TV has like a red filter over it, so he can watch TV.
Yeah, I was gonna say
as he develops his photos,
which makes sense. But when I saw that, it's like, okay, the lights in the room aren't completely red. It's just he's got a red screen.
I don't know how developing photos works. I imagine you need like a certain amount of like dark light in there.
You just really fuck around with the tint settings.
But there's this entire scene where he's developing the photos of the guy he just took, and the entire scene is set to a great Tom Waits song, "Walking Spanish." Like as soon as he turns on the radio, I'm like, hell, Johnny Skidmark's got good taste in music.
No, Shazam that shit.
But as the scene goes on, I realized this is a very poorly directed scene. I love this song, but the music doesn't fit with what he's doing. It's just a scene where nothing happens, nothing of any import occurs. He's just developing the photos, and we can just see what his home life is and how empty his life is. And I guess in the editing room, they're just all like, there's nothing to this scene. Put a kickin' fucking song over the soundtrack,
give it some levity.
That'll disguise the fact that nothing's going on here.
That this scene's boring as shit.
But hey, at the very least, you got to hear Tom Waits, so it's not bad. Not a bad.
One important detail I forgot to mention about the flipped over limo is that he goes, as Peter Gallagher goes around to the other side, and he sees that there's another body that's been thrown asunder.
Well, a very important detail.
Yeah. Yes. It's Lorraine.
Yes.
Yeah. She was prostituting herself for the one guy there, and Peter Gallagher has like the sort of, oh, my friend is unfortunately dead. Kind of makes sense that she'd be in the limo because she's a working sex worker.
Girl,
she's a working gal. But oh, there goes one of my good friends. So that's quite
one of my only friends.
Yeah.
Well, and then he starts, and then
back to work.
and it shows sort of like the broken and emptiness inside of Johnny Skidmarks, where he sees his friend. He takes a moment to process this, and he's just like, well, this is the job, and he raises the camera, and it's like, because someone needs to take a photo of her dead body. And
but I'm also like, what's he going to do? Say to the cops, hey, I know this hooker. So he goes back to Jack Black's restaurant, and he sees that someone has taken his favorite booth. And Jack Black tried to shoo her away, but Peter Gallagher says, like, it's fine, man. Like, they're all the same.
It's fine. A brilliant piece of dialogue here.
It's okay, Jerry. They're pretty much all alike anyway.
Yeah. 2 tits and an ass, right? Right.
I meant the tables.
And of course, Jack Black is screaming this at the top of his lungs, so the
She
lady at
would
the
have heard
table
him.
can hear everything he's saying. And of course, the lady at the table is our dear Frances McDormand, who is sitting there smoking a cigarette, drinking a coffee. And so Johnny gets his burger and he gets his coffee, and he sits at a different table. Jack Black goes back to deal with a takeout order. We can kind of hear him in the background. We can hear like this. There's some improv going on with him and another actress where I hear him mentioning like, we don't serve the fish anymore. I heard the word tangy at one point. I'm all like, I can barely hear what they're making out, but it's very clearly just Jack Black riffing.
Yeah, he's trying to have some fun on set.
Yeah.
So Frances McDormand, just on her own volition, invites herself over to join Peter Gallagher at the table. In
a very classic, cynical Frances McDormand type way, where she goes over and she's all like, maybe my favorite written piece of dialogue in the movie is her introductory line where she says, how's your clown burger? And then he says, mildly amusing. I'm like, that's a very funny line.
Yeah.
They kind of ruin it by saying it again near the end of the movie.
Sure, yeah.
But I thought that was funny. And then it's a great Frances McDormand introduction, because she's like, am I bothering you? Should I leave? And then he's all like, no, have a seat. And then her immediate next line is all like, you're a great conversationalist.
Yeah.
You know, that is all like, damn, lady.
Just two people with like no charisma and no chemistry, just like engaging in dialogue.
No people skills.
Yeah.
We eventually learned that this is Alice.
Yeah. Oh, is that her name?
Her name is Alice. I
Okay.
mean, we can keep calling her Frances McDormand,
Yeah.
but yes, her name is Alice. She's new to town. We find out that she comes from money. She is a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah, Peter Gallagher correctly deduces that she is a recovering alcoholic.
Well,
And
she mentions
she's
that-
like, coffee's really important to her, and he just follows that up with, so what step are you on?
Yes.
To which she replies, my place or yours?
So we go back to her place. It's a big apartment filled with unpacked boxes. We find out that she used to be married, but after she got out of detox, her husband just took off and left her and put most of their stuff in storage. So now she lives in this big empty apartment all by herself, and she's taken Johnny Skidmarks home for the night.
Yeah.
And this is a new relationship in his life. He's met a mysterious woman out of nowhere.
And they hook up. As you often do in these scenarios.
At Burger Clown.
At Burger Clown. We're all the
most
singles.
romantic restaurant.
That's right. The very next scene, there's no real through line to this, but the very next scene is at a bar where Peter Gallagher goes to meet up with the cop friends.
It's the cop bar.
The
because
cop bar.
it is sort of implied that outside of Jack Black and I guess his blackmailing buddies, John Lithgow is basically his only other friend. So I guess he just he goes in the circles that he hangs out in, but it's like, he goes and he meets up with John Lithgow and his partner, and it's like, I guess these are his only friends. This one guy fucking hates him. There's
one guy in this entire bar who kind of is okay with you. So he's like, I'll just go hang out with him for a night. Lithgow mentions that, that the big car pile, turns out it wasn't an accident. Somebody cut the brake line of the limousine. Ain't that something? And then he singles out another cop who we mentioned earlier had like food poisoning at a luau. And I'm like, that's sort of a weird offhand thing to mention during like an opening scene. But then it comes back. We see this character again.
So like this character, like this cop Earl, like walks into the bar, and John Lithgow says, he went home because he had like indigestion, and we see him like popping a couple of Alka-Seltzer into some water, and they're all like, "Hey Earl, how's your tum-tum?" And everyone's like,
"How was
laughing.
the poi?" And they're all singling him out, and I'm like, "Lay off the guy, John Lithgow. He's sick."
Well, my question is just all like, why did he even come to the bar in the first place? Why didn't he stay home? He's not drinking.
No.
Does he have to like put FaceTime in? Does he have to like? There's like some unwritten rule that like all the cops have to hang out at the bar at this time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have a tummy ache.
He's got to take his licks.
You gotta show up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a very weirdly written scene. Yeah,
I
didn't know what to think of it. Why is he there?
Yeah.
Why is he taking the abuse? He's barely a character. He's not even a character.
It was sort of like an offhand thing that they mentioned in Lithgow's opening scene, and then we actually see the proof in the pudding of this guy showing up.
Yeah.
And he's sick and he's not having a good time.
No.
And Lithgow's just like living the high life here, poking fun at this poor guy.
So Johnny doesn't have fun with his cop friends, so he goes back to Alice's apartment. We get a brilliantly acted monologue from Frances McDormand where she lays out her entire tragic backstory, and it's better than this movie deserves.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Absolutely. I don't really know what to say to that other than like she really does elevate this role that has no real business being there other than like they needed some female characters and
They needed a femme fatale. They needed someone for Johnny to think that maybe because she just shows up in his life, so it's like, oh, is this part of this conspiracy out to get me or anything like that?
Or do I have a light at the end of the tunnel if I just, like someone who I can be myself around?
And this movie came out in 1990, so she's an Oscar winner at this point. She's won for Fargo already, so it's like this was
a good get for this movie.
This was an amazing get for this movie, and Frances McDormand is just better than this material, but she's not sleepwalking through it because she doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Because she's a class act all the way.
Yeah.
So Johnny gets called to another crime scene.
Yeah, there's another like real bombastic opening score to this as he's walking towards this. It's like the town reservoir, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Wachowski's there to greet him at the door. He's immediately hostile to Peter Gallagher.
Because he never isn't not. He's all like, "What's your deal, Skidmarks?"
Yeah. You think you're a tough guy?
Yeah, going around taking photos of dead people all the time, like it's your job or something.
You know what he says?
What does he say?
He says, "Well, let's see how hard you really are."
Okay.
And this movie has a couple of entendre-y kind of lines.
So Wachowski is being mean to Gallagher because secretly he wants to give him a little kiss.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Lithgow warns him before they go in, and this one's really ripe. So he hands him, I thought a nice detail. He hands him a bottle of Aqua Velva to soak some Kleenex in and stuff it up your nose because this one is going to be
pretty gruesome.
They're implying that this one is like really nasty, but then when they get to the corpse, it's not like decomposed or anything.
Certainly not the worst one that we come across.
I think the implication is that because it's the reservoir, it's like a poo-poo smell. It's
you kind of contaminated it.
I don't really know what made this crime scene more gross than there's a crime scene coming up that arguably would smell worse than this one, but I don't know what the deal with that one was.
We find out that it's the body of Ernie the Wheel.
Ernie the Wheel. He was too stylish for this world.
He's lying like face down, ass up, with his
ass. That's literally what I wrote.
Yeah. With his bare ass in the air.
He died doing as he lived.
Sure. And they mentioned that there are cigarette burns in his ass cheeks.
Yeah.
Which is something.
So someone tortured him for information, but John Lithgow says, well, he was connected with the mob. Ernie the Wheel has been running in and out of prisons ever since he was a kid. Who would want to kill Ernie the Wheel? He's just such a low-level scumbag.
But Peter Gallagher realizes, wait a second, this is two people in my blackmailing crew that have been snuffed out already. I better give a call to my old buddy Walter to see if he's
something we forgot to mention, an earlier scene, he goes back to Walter's office, and when he walks into the office, it turns out the man who hired them to take the photos of the guy in the hotel has shown up early and surprised Peter Gallagher. Peter Gallagher doesn't want to meet any of the people that he's involved in the blackmail thing.
Sure.
So there's just like this tense little moment where this shitty little bald man with a mustache
who turns out to be like a very influential lawyer.
Rips the photos out of Peter Gallagher's hand, and Peter Gallagher kind of yells at Walter's all like, I don't want to meet them, and Walter's all like, he showed up early.
What are you gonna do? Yeah.
So
have you tried knocking first?
That's true. So he calls Walter. It's no good. But before he gets a hold of Walter, he looks at a newspaper and finds out that this lawyer has also been found dead. So that's 3 people associated with the blackmail who are now turning up dead. So something's going on. Something's up here. But he's still trying to tell himself that maybe
it's
not
just
the
a coincidence.
Because yes, Ernie did run with mob people, and according to John Lithgow, it wasn't even Lorraine that they were after. They cut the brake line of like the powerful old guy. But we know better.
Yeah, absolutely.
We know that it's all connected.
We're on that paranoid.
This goes all the way to the top.
We're on that paranoia journey with you, Peter Gallagher. So at his apartment, he's awoken by the sound of a prowler, who turns out to be Walter, who just did not return his call, but decided the best course of action was to break in the dead of night when there's like a murder conspiracy going on.
But he wants the negatives. He wants all the photos of the they call them pigeons. All of the men that they've taken photos of. He says, like
how many pigeons? And so they keep mentioning pigeons.
And Walter's like shaking Peter Gallagher. Is all like, how many pigeons did we work on? How many pigeons? And I'm like, isn't this your business?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you have like files on like all the people? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I wasn't thinking too far ahead of the movie, but it was like, okay, so Walter is an obvious subject because he's the mastermind behind all this. The only way he can cover his ass is if he eliminates all the other people who could incriminate him. The very next day, he's called into yet another crime scene. You can already assume what's going to happen here. It's the middle of a Dust Bowl field or what have you. Quarry or whatever. Yeah. Someone's dug like an industrial size hole. Now that I'm thinking about this and I know who the killer is, how did he make a hole that size? I don't know. What? Well, they had to rent they mentioned that it's a lynx to get that done or something. They mentioned that they call it a crater that he's in. Yeah. So maybe, I don't know, was he dropped from a height? It's not like he's not Wile E. Coyote, Jameson. He doesn't just leave a perfectly formed crater after he falls out of the sky.
sky.
All right.
No, I have no idea how he gets in this crater. Maybe the crater was already there. Maybe
Yeah,
it was-
sure.
But anyway, we find Walter.
Well, no, we find a fake Walter dummy in the middle of that crater,
Yeah, that
who's
thing looked
completely been disembodied.
He's been like he has been drawn and quartered, and like his arms aren't attached, his legs aren't attached, his head isn't attached, but they're all the pieces are there, and he's laid out like a paper doll. And yeah, stupid fake Walter head.
Jesus, that is.
It looked awful.
They made that in an hour.
Yes.
it's pretty rough looking.
That is a spirit Halloween head and a half. Is what that is. Yeah.
At this point, I'm still considering Walter a suspect because like there's no fucking way that's real.
Yeah, he's hiding in the shadows. Yeah, he had that commissioned. Exactly. Yeah.
It's a perfect likeness of
It's
me.
not the first time my life has been threatened. I have various fake bodies.
It looks like I'm looking in a mirror.
I mean, that would actually be, that theory would make sense, Jameson, because jumping ahead later on, Walter's head ends up in Johnny's freezer, and it would make more sense that there are multiple fake heads than there are, because it's all like, there was 3 for 1 at the spook store or whatever. But Johnny sees Walter massacred, and this is finally too much for him. He passes out and blows chunks everywhere, much to the amusement of Wachowski, who's just all like, "Oh, you do this every time, Johnny?" It's all like,
No, he hasn't.
No, pointedly, he never does this every time. This is the first time he's ever done this.
He's very detached from everything else that's going on, so he doesn't puke his guts out. But they all say like, "Oh, I guess every man has its limits." Well, all right, go home. You're done for the day.
Yeah, and Lithgow mentions it's all like, "Yeah, this is probably some sort of satanic cult that did this." And Johnny's going like, "Sure, okay, whatever, whatever you say, bud."
Yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah, satanic cult. Yeah.
So Johnny goes home and he starts freaking out and he starts
he starts digging through the old negatives of the photos that he took, and just develops like whatever of the remains of like the torn up original negatives.
Yeah,
because he has the proper photographs in police custody.
That makes sense now.
Yeah,
okay.
But no, the only thing he has left are like the old negatives in the trash bag.
That's right. He tears up the negatives after he makes it so there's no like paper trail, and now he has to develop the torn up negative. Thank you. That was because as he was putting it together, I'm all like, is he making a collage?
Well, that's what it.
What is he doing?
That's what it ends up being, which is unfortunate because what he's trying to do is trying to say like, who of the pigeons that we cornered here that I've taken pictures of, do I recognize any of these people?
I guess I wasn't paying attention because I assumed it was just like his fractured mind that caused him to like tear the photos up and like assemble it on his wall. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm all like, look, man, if this were in like a Soho art gallery, I would think it was like really cool and interesting. For your purposes, not that useful.
Yeah.
But
so we have like one close-up of like one guy's nose. We have a close-up of one guy's eyeball and a bit of their forehead. You know, we don't get like a ton of great shots of just like their faces, but
it's all the evidence that he has.
Yeah.
He has to figure out which of the men that I took, because
of which there seem to be hundreds.
Because what we find out through some dialogue later on is that he says that he's so detached from this process. He just takes the photos. He never sees the faces of the men that he's shooting, which is a big logic leap to expect. Like you have to think at some point in time from when he's taking a photo of multiple photos of one person and then developing those photos, he might see their faces at some point.
I think the implication there is that he's just so depressed and going through the motions that he doesn't even register faces anymore. He's
doesn't
got face
register
blindness.
them as people.
Yeah,
he just this is.
They're just subjects to me now.
Exactly. I'll just take the photos. That's what I do.
I just take the photos.
I'm just trying to find some honey.
But also, like, all the pictures of them are just these action shots of the guys being surprised and being caught in the act. So they're not even really good photos. Like, some of them have their palms covering their faces, everything. And that's why I'm like, yeah, maybe just get, like, some covert pictures of them so you can get a nice clear shot and not just like a, whoa, in the moments. I don't know. Don't break down a door and then snap pictures. That's not cool.
It worked out great for them, Jameson, until it stopped working out great for them and they all got murdered.
Yeah. But the implication here is that, like, oh, it could be anyone. Any one of these random men could be capable of this.
So he goes back to Alice's apartment, and Alice looks like she's doing a lot better. She's finally unpacked a lot of her boxes.
Yeah. But then Peter Gallagher says, like, hey, we need to talk. And her immediate jump to the conclusion is,
You've got something, but you slept with me anyway.
And then he
Which
goes,
is a very Frances McDormand kind of reaction.
and then he goes, no. And then she says, then I forgive you. And she changes the subject. It's like, he wanted to tell you something.
Yeah.
He clearly had something on his mind.
Look,
Don't dismiss that.
Look, she's a recovering addict here.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't need any of this, like, extra drama
She
in her
actually,
life.
that's literally a line of dialogue that she says. She says, like, I'm barely keeping it together. Don't fuck me over. Don't bring a bunch of bullshit to me. And that is exactly what he does.
Yeah.
But the important thing of this scene is that Johnny picks up a picture frame with her and her parents, and he recognizes Alice's father is one of the pigeons.
He was the pigeon that we saw earlier in the motel with Lorraine.
Was he?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it was that guy.
I just thought he was just like one of the other ones in like the collage or whatever, but I didn't realize that. Because we do see later on her father, who I guess is some sort of big business muckety muck or whatever, he's being interviewed on TV and he's denying the blackmail allegations or whatever. So yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it must have just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that's too much of a coincidence to not be important.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, turns out to just be a weird coincidence.
It is a good, nice wrench to throw into the works here, because now you're wondering, oh, is her father using her to lower his guard?
Yeah, well, certainly at this point in time, I, as an audience member, did think the possibility of Frances McDormand being being the one behind it, if not in on it to a certain extent, is still definitely on the table, because she does just randomly decide to show up at Clown Burger for a cup of coffee, but yeah, as it turns out, no,
a few days after the event,
it just was pure happenstance that she won out of all the Clown Burgers in all the world. She happened to walk into Jack Black's.
Speaking of Jack Black, Peter Gallagher goes back to the restaurant because he just needs someone to confide in, but Jack Black is not having any of it because he's a little resentful and jealous that Peter Gallagher is now spending, I don't know, a day or two with Frances McDormand.
No, she's his best friend now, and he doesn't have any time for Jerry. And you used to be married to my sister, and I'm the one that introduced you. And if you think about it, I actually introduced you to Frances McDormand. And it's like, you didn't, though.
No.
And this is just like pure unhinged screaming Jack Black or whatever. And he's doing the thing where he's trying to look scary, but it's Jack Black, so it's not working.
It's just like that playful scowl he'll give in like all of his comedic movies.
But the playful scowl is meant to imply that Peter Gallagher's all like, maybe Jerry's trying to kill me, and it's just
and I'm
like, no, he's not.
Why the fuck are you trying to implicate Jack Black in this? He has no connection to any of this. He doesn't know that Peter Gallagher is a blackmailer. Oh, is it just because, he's jealous of him having a girlfriend now? That's a stupid motivation for this. This fucking reeks of a producer's note saying, more suspects, more comedy.
It could be anyone.
Yeah.
It could be more suspects and comedy in the same scene.
Because, like, Jack Black is so tonally different from everything else in this movie.
Yes, very much
he
so.
really fucking sticks out on this, and yes, cut Jack Black's character out of the movie, you lose nothing.
No. So he goes back to the cop bar. I liked a lot of the dialogue in this movie. I primarily liked most of the dialogue John Lithgow had. Like, he just has
John Lithgow's great in this.
He's great. When is he bad?
Yeah.
A classic case of when is he bad. Boy, this movie has two actors in it that
really elevate the material.
Well, I was going to say that it has two actors in it, John Lithgow and Jack Black, who I used to love so much, but I am disappointed in these days for different reasons.
Why Lithgow? I can see Jack Black because he's overexposed.
I'm disappointed that John Lithgow has accepted the role of Dumbledore for the Harry Potter TV show that they're making.
Okay.
And for one, I'm just disappointed that that's a thing that's actually happening because one, we've already adapted those books and all this is doing is just making J.K. Rowling even more rich. But two, it's just like, I'm disappointed in all of the adult actors in that show, not the kids, that's fine, and not like the crew people, because it's like, if you're in like a film crew, you take the jobs you can get or whatever, but it's like the adult actors who are signing up for that project, I just think you should know better, just with how ugly J.K. Rowling is getting these days, it's just like, and plus it's just like a creatively bankrupt thing to do to remake Harry Potter at this point in time. I'm sure John Lithgow will be a great Dumbledore, but it's just like, this is what you want to do now, or whatever.
What you're likely going to retire as an actor with.
And I'm disappointed in Jack Black because he threw his best friend under the bus. But I don't know. We don't need. I don't know. I love both of them. I would like them to be good again. But who's and John Lithgow isn't even bad. John Lithgow was great in Conclave, so he's still given the quality, but it's just like it sucks that that's like going to be like the next 7 years of your life. It's just doing this.
This is why I always separate the artist from the art. Otherwise, you can't enjoy anything.
Sometimes though, the artist is actively making life worse for like a group of people.
True.
So it's tough. Sometimes it's tougher to separate the art from the artist, Jameson.
Well, I for one will not be watching that Harry Potter series.
Fuck no!
I haven't even finished the Harry Potter books.
Snape kills Dumbledore. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
So I love John Lithgow's dialogue. Johnny sits down and says, just trying to get to the end of this pig fuck week. I don't know. I love the dialogue he says. Like later on, Johnny, I won't go into this because we're going to talk about it, but later when Johnny visits John Lithgow's apartment, he saes, hey, come on, I'm just watching the game and spinning some platters.
Yeah.
Because he's listening to records and I'm just all like, man, he's got great dialogue in this, John Lithgow.
Two things that I noticed about this scene at the bar. We have the return of the fucking Mike Moffat guy from Seinfeld.
Yep.
He just shows up, says like, hey, what's going on, guys? So that's...
I guess that's another red herring or whatever. I don't know. It's just, it like, as an actor, I've definitely been in projects like that where it's like, you have 2 shooting days. One is like your dialogue day, and the next day is just you just need to walk through a door.
Yeah.
But it's like, your second shooting day is all like, I'm barely in this scene, but for some reason they want me to come back.
Yeah.
So that's
to kind of pad out the world.
That's what happened to Lee Ehrenberg here. Yeah.
And the other thing I noticed is I forgot to double check this, but I think the guy tending bar is the guy who plays Louis Litt on Suits.
It is, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Rick Hoffman, who's a character actor I really like. He's in most of Eli Roth's movies. But Rick Hoffman. I also noticed that Johnny calls that character Rick, so he's just playing himself.
Okay.
So maybe he was just the bartender, and
as he's moonlighting
and
as an
he's just all
actor.
like, I have a SAG card. But that's the character actor I recognize. Also, the guy that he brings his film to get developed played Billy D. Williams's head of security, Steve, in Dangerous Passion.
Hey, there we have another legacy actor
So
here.
another character actor just like earning a paycheck in this movie. Here.
How about that?
But this is the scene where he sees Alice's father on the TV, and
goes,
he started. And the walls are starting to close in, and Warchowski is like seeing him, and he's looking suspicious, all like, "What's up with Johnny Skidmarks?"
And John Lithgow's looking concerned for his friend, Peter Gallagher.
Such concern on the face, yes. And
Peter Gallagher goes back to his place. He sees that did someone break in? Was the door already open?
apparently Al says the door was open, but Alice is in his apartment already.
That's so fucking weird. So
people keep showing up at his apartment. Yeah.
Like he shows up, she's sitting in the dark, and she's like, "Oh yeah, the door was open," and it's just like, so you just decided to hang out here for like hours, conceivably.
Also, Johnny, she's a recovering alcoholic, so like anytime she can spend not drinking is good for her, I imagine. But yeah, Johnny, you have like multiple people trying to kill you. Lock your door, bud. Hide the key. But the line that I like in this, where he sees Alice waiting in the dark in his living room, he says, like, "How did you find me?" And she says, I looked you up in the phone book, and my immediate thought was, under skid marks?
Yes.
I looked in the yellow pages under crime scene photographer. Anyway,
He's still like suspicious of her. He still thinks that like she might be in cahoots with her dad trying to kill him. So she leaves, and then she says, "I left something for you." We never find out what that is.
No, we do.
What?
Well, it's more red herringness, because after she leaves, Johnny notices some wet spots on his carpet. We've established in an earlier scene he has a big chest freezer where he keeps all of his film in, and it looks as if someone has been tooling around in the freezer, because he opens it up and he finds
another fake Walter head.
He finds the second fake Walter head that they got 3 for $2 at Spirit Halloween or whatever. So the red herring implication is that that's what she left for him. What she left for him, Jameson, was the bottle of vodka.
Oh.
because there's an earlier scene where she's talking about her addiction or whatever, and she points to a bottle of vodka and she says, "I bought that the other day." And then they have a moment of silence. She says, "How about water?" And then they move on from it. And in this scene she says, "I left something for you. What you want to do with it is up to you." And then he notices she left the bottle of vodka behind, which he smashes after he finds the head. He smashes by accident. He backs up into it. But it's the screenwriter trying to be all like, did she leave the head or did she leave the vodka?
Oh, I'm really glad that you picked up on that because I'll be honest, I was on my phone for a little bit during this movie.
I picked up on stuff that you didn't. You picked up on stuff that I didn't. That's why we're partners. That's why we watch movies together.
We're like the Coen brothers over here. Yeah. You make Shakespeare and I'll make a lesbian action comedy or whatever.
We can debate.
We can
debate on who gets to do the lesbian.
Well, stay tuned, folks. We're gonna announce our next project in a couple of weeks.
How about a lesbian Shakespeare crime drama?
Hey, there you go.
Like that. So Johnny has a head in his apartment and he's freaking out. So he goes to the only person he can trust, his old buddy John Lithgow, who has a character name. I'm not going to look it up.
I think it's Larry.
It's Detective John Lithgow.
Sure, yeah.
And he goes.
He's like, "What's troubling you, friend? Here, let's get some shots together. We can tell me your troubles." And so Peter Gallagher just confesses that.
Lays the whole story out, everything. He even mentions Jerry.
Yeah, I'm a blackmailer. And I've been collaborating with all these people, and they've been turning up dead. Every big murder case that's been dropped on your plate for the last couple of weeks. I'm involved in all of it. And
he mentions that he found Walter's head in his apartment, and then John Lithgow goes, "Well, Walter's head is at like the police depot. It's in like the coroner's office. Someone would have to be a police officer to get control of that." And then Johnny goes, "Warchowski, do you think it could be Warchowski?" And then the camera cuts to John Lithgow, and I swear to God, he literally goes, yeah. This is where the fucking switch flips.
This is where the spike happens. This is a mind cage Martin Lawrence embodying
100%
as a host body for John Malkovich.
This is just because it's so glaringly obvious that Lithgow is the killer, is the bad guy from the second he's introduced, just based on economy of characters and based on the fact that he's like the nice character that's nice to Joy. So of course he's going to turn out to be the villain.
Yeah.
But just the immediate switch to diabolical supervillain Lithgow, which is one of my favorite Lithgows.
Yeah. It was a great transformation, and one thing I really, really appreciated is as his grin slowly manifests, and as he's like breaks into laughter. Did you notice that the camera kind of tilts?
Yeah.
It goes into the Dutch angle.
It's like classic, like, like his world is like turning on its head. His best friend.
The best description I ever heard from that was like some film instructor I had, where they said like, "Oh yeah, they use this all the time back in the Adam West Batman series for all the villains. You want to know why? Because they're crooked."
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
That's cinema. Yeah.
And so I'm like, yes! Oh, he's going to be chewing the scenery for the rest of this movie. He's so diabolical. And, but like, why? Why, John Lithgow? Why were you behind all of this? And I don't really get his motivation here. I mean, I get
his motivation.
I get what got the ball rolling, but how he's describing it, I'm not buying.
It's kind of an interesting twist that I have to admit is all like, oh, I actually kind of didn't see that coming, but it's largely because you have to buy into the idea that Peter Gallagher never looked at the faces of the people that he was snapping photos
and you need to lay like some breadcrumbs about something like this, like mention that John Lithgow was married. Like something like that, which they don't.
No, they mention it in this scene.
Yeah.
But this is, it's arguably too late to be mentioning that information.
Yeah, so just to do the full reveal, John Lithgow was one of the Johns that was caught up in, like, the blackmailing scheme.
And the implication, the reason that Johnny Skidmarks didn't recognize him is because when he was in bed with Lorraine, he didn't have his toupee on. And as they're tussling with each other, the toupee comes off, and the reveal that John Lithgow was wearing an obvious toupee is treated with such severity.
Yeah.
It's such an important moment in this movie. And it's all like, we know it's a toupee. It's John Lithgow.
Baldness plays a huge factor in this reveal. The important thing to remember is that, John Lithgow is famously bald.
and always has been.
And always has
he
been.
He has never not been.
It's just that Peter Gallagher is so detached from everything around him that he didn't recognize, like, I guess, a longtime friend that was all caught up in this.
And there's a very clunky bit of exposition that now makes sense at this moment when he's building his collage earlier of the ripped up pieces of the eyes and the fingers and everything like that. Near the end of it, as it's boiling to a crescendo point, we do in fact hear a voice go, "Johnny!"
And it is John Lithgow.
And it's John Lithgow, and it's in that moment I wrote down, it's like, who's screaming Johnny? Because that's not a moment.
I wrote down ending, maybe John Lithgow yells, "Johnny!"
Well, look, to be fair, a very recognizable voice.
Very,
John Lithgow, yes. So it's like...
But I should have clued in that, like, oh yeah, then he's obviously, a suspect.
So it's not only that Peter Gallagher took his photo, it's that John Lithgow recognized Peter Gallagher as he was doing it, and he was trying to appeal to his friend.
Yeah.
Because they were friends at one point in time. They were like legitimate pals. But, then Peter Gallagher blackmailed him. And like a good performance from Lithgow where he's all like, I kept waiting in the weeks after that for like a glimmer of recognition, but you didn't see me, Johnny. You just didn't see me. And then his life fell apart. And then all of his that's when the devious planning and murder started happening or whatnot.
Yeah, he's just pontificating about how Peter Gallagher never pays any attention. He's like completely shut off his humanity. No glimmer of that kind of manifests. And I'm like,
In this monologue that you're talking about, in this moment where he's like dressing down Johnny and talking about why he's a terrible human being, there was a moment that, I shit you not, Jameson, caused me to pause the movie and throw my hands up, because we've just done the reveal that John Lithgow was the villain. I knew this was coming. Johnny is sitting there and he's going like, why did you do this to me? Why are you doing this? Oh, like, oh, you're the type of, the type of man you are, Johnny. And then he takes a minute and then he says, when was the last time you voted?
When's the last time you voted?
And then I had to pause the movie. I had to go, what? That's what you're starting with?
Yeah.
That's the first thing you're bringing up? And I guess it's like this big long diatribe of all like, you're barely a human being. You don't give to like bums on the street or whatever.
He says something like, that's what's wrong with your generation.
He keeps saying your generation is all like, Peter Gallagher has to be what, like 10 years younger
maybe
than
10
you?
years, yeah. So it's just like old man yelling at cloud, this sort of thing. Like, you don't know what music is anymore.
But just obviously he builds to like more reveals, but it's just the moment of like, why did you do this to me? When was the last time you voted? That was the moment that I was all like,
I don't know, election day.
But like Lithgow is just off the chain here.
He's great.
He's doing that great thing where he's like talking normally and then he'll just choose certain words to like overemphasize. You pig fuck.
Yeah.
And it's like
pig fuck, yeah.
Great little moments from him.
Yeah.
Like he's never better than when he's playing just a despicable person. He's great here.
Yeah. So yeah, they have a tussle and they just like completely wreck shop of John Lithgow's apartment. He tries to scald Peter Gallagher at one point in the bathroom sink.
And
then they break the bathroom sink, they break down a door, they break a table, they break a lamp. It's great.
They very pointedly break a bottle of aqua blue, a shard of which ends up in Peter Gallagher's eye.
Yeah.
Now, this is something that I forgot to mention at the beginning. During the opening credits, I noticed that there was a credit for special makeup effects designed by, and I made a note of that. I'm all like, what?
Why?
Why is that?
Like, it's going to be, then later on it's like,
happening here?
well, you figure like, it's a murder noir plot, right? So you're going to dress up the corpses to be like a little more gruesome and bloated and what have you.
Well, I was thinking it's all like, is there like a twist of this movie that I'm not expecting? Is there going to be like a big monster in this?
Yeah.
Is Billy Bob Thornton going to see an alien while he's in prison or something?
Turn into a werewolf or whatever, yeah.
But no, Johnny gets a piece of glass stuck in his fucking eye.
Yeah.
And then when he escapes from John Lithgow and goes to Clownburger, which like, don't trust Jerry with your life. Come on, man.
I can't go to the hospitals.
I gotta go to Clownburger. That's the only place I can go. He does surgery on himself and he takes...
It's pretty brutal and gruesome.
It's pretty fucking graphic. You kind of see all of it. It's an excellent effect.
It's
but it's
great
also
looking.
Nasty. Ooh.
I don't know if I can take a screenshot of that and show it on YouTube without it getting taken down.
It's actually quite gross.
Trust us, it looks really convincing.
Like it's very convincing. It's like a very static shot of Peter Gallagher literally pulling a piece of glass out of his eye, and like the fake eyelid is like stuck on. It's nasty. It's really gross. Good. That guy deserved an opening credit thing for that one shot. Yeah, absolutely.
Also at Clown Burger, John Lithgow shows up in the parking lot and through the window shoots Jack Black in the throat.
I love to see it. I love to see. I wrote down I love to see a Jack Black death scene, except, of course, spoilers, Jerry does survive this.
Yeah.
He survives a bullet to the fucking throat. Don't know how that happens, but I guess this movie just didn't have the heart to kill Jack Black.
Well, I mean, Tenacious D was just around the corner, so like he did the world a favor by not making it a fatal vocal wound.
Exactly, because yes, that is jumping all the way ahead to the end. That is Jerry's ultimate fate: is that he does survive, but he does momentarily lose his voice. I feel like there's like meant to be some sort of like metaphor here, where like Johnny took photos, but he didn't see the world, so he lost his eye. Jerry never shut up, so he lost his voice. I don't know. I don't know. A smarter movie would make like a point about that, but
you mentioned that to the screeners. They're gonna be like, "Oh fuck!
I could have done that."
That's a great idea.
Well, back to rewriting someone else's script. Jack Black gets shot, and Lithgow's somewhere out in the parking lot, so Johnny escapes, all while like accordion music is playing the entire time. It's like concertina.
It's that classic stereotypical. No, it's that stereotypical like Italian pizza making song.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of like royalty free music that plays at Clown Burger.
And he just leaves poor Jerry to bleed out on the floor listening to the fucking Italian music. It's like, if that was like his final moments, a truly ignoble end for that character.
Yeah.
But no, he manages to survive that somehow.
Yeah. He does call up like 911 saying like
he calls an ambulance
to Clown Burger,
even though Johnny said don't do it. Yeah. But it turns out that ambulance was very useful because it ends up saving Jerry's life. So Johnny's on the run.
Yeah, but who turns out to be in the back seat? But John Lithgow, who sort of creeps up in a very... I mean, I should have known he was in the back seat, but John Lithgow is just like so lanky that like no matter how he moves,
it's true.
It was kind of creepy.
But it's a real, he does a real Michael Myers moment here. Where he just like slowly gets up from the back seat. He's all like, "Hi, Johnny!"
Yeah. But Peter Gallagher has a flash camera in the front seat, so he temporarily blinds John Lithgow.
As we all know, if you're
spills out of the car and does a roll.
As we all know, if you're a photographer, you just have multiple cameras in various places.
Hey, like you never know. You never know.
There's always a camera within arm's reach. There's one under the seat. There's one in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And you can always, and the flash is always on.
Yeah. He hits like the waist spin pedal and like a camera shoots out of the chest.
So he's driving the car, but he dives out of the car, and for some reason the car keeps driving.
Cruise control, man.
I guess. It is very dumb because it is literally just like Lithgow is momentarily blinded by the flash.
Yeah.
And then the car veers off of the road. And in the next scene, Johnny's all like, "I think I killed him." It's all like, "Really?
Yeah.
You think you killed him?"
It reminds me of that gag in The Naked Gun where he gets out of his car and the airbags go off and it just keeps driving down the road and causing all this chaos.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You seen that new trailer for the new one?
I'll see the movie.
I'm excited for it. I'm gonna rewatch I haven't seen those movies in a while, so I'm gonna do a rewatch right before I see it. I hope Neeson gets the tone right. I'm worried that he's gonna comment on it a little too much, but
maybe. I think
we'll see.
they're doing the right thing by going with like serious actor doing like absolute deadpan.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a good call.
So he goes back to Alice's house. Frances McDormand has been out of the movie for a while at this point, so I wrote down it's all like, well, clearly he's headed towards Alice's place because and also John Lithgow has threatened her at this point. He says like, "I like your taste in women, Johnny."
The part of the mystery movie where like they reveal who the killer is should possibly be like the last 10 minutes of the movie. This is like the last 35 minutes of the movie.
There's like half an hour left of the movie after John Lithgow is revealed to be the killer. So there's a little bit of spinning wheels here, but also it just means we get more evil John Lithgow.
Yeah, which hey,
I'm
fine with.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah, so he says to Frances McDormand that, "Hey, I got a confession for you. I'm a blackmailer."
I just love this because it's even more of like the great Frances McDormand acting. He shows up at her house like one eye is bandaged up, he's completely bloody, and he's all like, I need your help, Alice. And her reaction is like, what happened? But she doesn't like say it like she's concerned. She's so pissed off. She's like,
what now?
What now? What did you do? The man she's having a romantic tryst with shows up bloody and bleeding and everything like that.
I need to talk to you.
She's just all like, oh, this bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can you not?
Yeah.
Can we just not? And then he says, I'm a blackmailer, and her immediate reaction is leave.
Yeah. You know what? Come to think of it, he doesn't even mention that he took pictures of her father,
No,
too.
but she puts it together like
Oh,
almost
does she?
Well, I have to imagine she puts it together
Okay.
almost immediately, because clearly the thing that happened with her father
made the news.
and is fucking up her family or whatever.
Yeah.
I actually really don't think it is the guy in the motel.
I think it's two different guys. I think
it's two different guys.
I think the guy on TV is different than the guy who's her father.
I think her father getting blackmailed happened a while ago. I think that happened before the events of the movie, because I think it fractured her family or something, and that maybe led to her alcoholism.
No, I think the guy who they took pictures with in the hotel was her father, because it's one of the only guys that we actually see them catching in the act.
I suppose.
I don't know.
Very briefly.
Do we got to rewatch this movie?
No.
No. Okay.
No, we truly. I even liked this movie, but no. The answer to that is no. We don't.
So she kicks him out.
Yeah, she proves herself to be the smartest person in the movie, where he's all like, I'm a blackmailer, I do bad things. She's just all like, bye!
Yeah.
Immediately bye! I don't want any part of this!
It's a real Lawrence Fishburne in Event Horizon. We're leaving. Wachowski just shows up at Johnny's apartment.
Yeah, because he was looking shifty at the bar, so he's following the lead, and he's all like, I'm gonna go show. And as we know from a previous the scene, Johnny does not lock his door.
No.
So this is now the third character who just walks into his apartment uninvited.
Yeah. It doesn't even have a door. It's just just the frame and a welcome mat in front of it. So he finds the pictures, and he recognizes immediately John Lithgow in it, because he doesn't have face blindness.
No, he does in like 5 seconds what Johnny was not able to do over the course of several days. He sees a fraction of a photo.
He sees a severed head,
Yeah.
and he finds, I don't know, Peter Gallagher's dead hamster, and he's like, my God.
I believe he says, "You bastard, you son of a bitch." And he is not. He is not following proper protocol. He's walking around without gloves. He's touching stuff.
Yeah.
He puts his pen in the in the decapitated head's nose
Yeah.
to like move
Like
it
fish
around
it
or
around,
whatever.
yeah.
But like, look, at this point in time, it's all like, oh, the cop that doesn't like him is gonna solve the case, and they're gonna be friends at the end
Sure,
of it. Okay,
yeah. Well, they're gonna be friendly.
We're several steps ahead of this movie.
Yeah. And then John Lithgow just happens upon Peter Gallagher.
I love this so much. It's like his girlfriend kicks him out. He's lost his eye. He's walking down the street, and then out of nowhere, John Lithgow's car comes out, and he has the gun, and it's just bald John Lithgow in a cardigan.
Yeah.
And it's just all like, I love it. It's just the craziest thing. Where he's just all like, aha, Johnny, I got you again.
I knew if I just kept driving around town in the dead of night, eventually I'd happen upon you on the sidewalk or whatever.
And he knocks Johnny out, and he could do the smart thing and kill him right here, but
no, he's got to make it interesting. He's got to tie him to the roof of a building, and then
he's getting Dexter on him, is what he's doing.
He is,
yeah.
And like, he says, like, well, I'm gonna. His plan is to torture him while he's on the roof. Yeah. He's gonna break every bone in his body and all that, so you can finally feel something.
And I misread what was going to happen here, because for some reason, I guess I just looked at this weird. When Peter Gallagher is like tied to the ground or whatever, he has like a whole bunch of like instruments of torture, and he picks up a sledgehammer. I could have sworn Peter Gallagher had like a fake arm. And so, like, I was certain that at the very least, Johnny was going to get, like, his arm broken.
Yeah.
Because it looked like a bullshit fake arm or whatever. But unfortunately, Johnny doesn't get tortured before Wachowski and the rest of the cops show up, and they fill...
A fucking sniper comes out of nowhere, and like they just knew exactly where to find him. We've been following John Lithgow for months.
It's interesting because, like, I assumed it was just going to be like just Wachowski with the gun to show up and save the day, but
Like
no.
the Departed style.
Yeah, he invites the entire fucking force to like take down
the sergeants.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Let's be honest. A middle-aged man. Like,
Yeah.
He doesn't maybe need like that much force, but no, they riddle John Lithgow with bullets. And
His last words are "fucking humanity."
I thought he said bloody humanity, but it's still good. Still very good. Yeah.
I'm still really unclear. Were you doing this to get revenge on Peter Gallagher destroying your marriage, or do you really just like want him to accept his humanity?
I think
I don't know. He snapped.
I think he snapped, and I think the idea is that after he kills Peter Gallagher, he's going to continue being like a jigsaw type character. Like, you didn't appreciate your life, so I'm going to tie you to a chair.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
okay.
And hit you with an axe. Or I don't know. Yeah. But he's dead.
The day has been saved.
And Wachowski unties Johnny Skidmarks, and he says, "How you doing, Skidmarks?" And he goes, "Fine." And I'm like, all right, well, you're disassociated immediately, but that's fine.
I feel, and then just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah. I feel a lot. Yeah.
And then we get our fucking epilogue scene where he's back at Clown Burger. There's one other customer in the restaurant, so things are turning.
Things are looking up for Jerry. Absolutely.
He can't say a word, so people are like, "Oh, thank Christ, we can eat here again."
It's so weird. It's ever present in every single scene, but for some reason, it wasn't until like this very last moment of the movie where Jerry has lost his voice that was the time that I chose to ask myself, why doesn't Jerry have any employees? He desperately needs one now.
Yeah.
Because he can't work the drive-thru in Johnny. I guess he's hired Johnny. I guess Johnny is a part-time...
Yeah, Johnny is like now retired from photography.
I guess, he's not going back to that job now.
No.
It's all like, well, because he's lost, like, he says he has like 20% vision in his eye. His eye's all like cool, and he has like like 2D from the Gorillas. Like, one of his eyes is completely black.
Yeah.
I'm motioning to the shirt that I'm currently wearing right now. So he has.
Trust me, folks, he's pointed it out.
He has a half Gorilla's eye, is what he does. And then inexplicably, Frances McDormand decides to give him another shot.
Yeah, she's forgiven him, I guess.
She comes back to her favorite place, Clown Burger.
Yeah, I imagine that like he's just never gonna tell her that he took pictures of her dad with a prostitute.
Maybe it comes up. Maybe she's already put it together.
Yeah, by the way,
who's to say?
Yeah.
I mean, it is true. It's all like, I'm a blackmailer. Oh, my father was blackmailed. It's not necessarily the same guy, but like, I guess that's the implication that she's put together. But for some reason, she decides to forgive him. And Jack Black drops off their Clown Burgers, and he says, "I can't speak." And then Johnny has to man the Clown Burger takeout window.
Yeah, he's like, "Can I take your order?" And then the camera pans out on the takeout box, and there's like no cards there.
And it's
so great job there, guys.
It's a happy ending for everybody.
And that's Johnny Skidmarks, everybody.
Johnny shit stains.
That's right.
Jameson, does this movie have a certain something, or is it just a whole lot of nothing?
Outside of John Lithgow's brilliant scene shooting and Frances McDormand elevating a really nothing character, no, I don't think so. I'm
going to be a little kinder. This is one of the rare times I think we're split on a movie. Yeah, I think this movie's got a little something. I kind of liked it. I liked the performances. I thought even though the twist was completely telegraphed and I knew it was coming. The other reason that I knew it was coming is because if you look up images for this movie, more than half of them are John Lithgow being evil.
Oh, no.
One of the shots on IMDb is him being riddled with bullets at the end of this movie.
Well, what the fuck, IMDb? Jesus, the only reason people will want to watch a mystery movie like this is if you keep the reveal a secret.
Like, if you look up, like, the still images on IMDb, like, the most prominent one is John Lithgow and Peter Gallagher at each other's throats. Jesus. So it's all like, okay, it's obviously that. But I had more fun with this than I thought I was going to have. I'll be honest.
Once the movie picks up, it does become a little more enjoyable. But, you know, just as a fan of the mystery, like murder mystery genre there, they really could have done a better job of putting a larger cast of characters that could have been the suspects. They could have telegraphed it a little bit sooner why it could be each of these characters. I said before
Yeah.
that it's just kind of reeks of like a first draft, and then they had like
Yes.
one note on like add more characters, add some more levity, and they're just like, fine, I'll do it. And they did it in the most haphazard, like, we just got to get this, like, they stapled it together.
A piece of trivia that I read about this is that the director and screenwriter, he co-wrote the movie with another friend of his, and apparently the story goes is that he had like this germ of the idea for Johnny Skidmarks, and he was telling his one screenwriter friend, and his screenwriter, the co-screenwriter of this movie, apparently said, "Okay, I'm coming to your apartment, I'm gonna sleep over, we're gonna bust this out." And apparently they wrote the screenplay together in 21 days, which this has like the whiff of a movie that was written in a month. Perhaps with not a lot of rewriting and redrafting going on, because you're right, there are elements like the whole cop played by the guy from Seinfeld thing.
He could have been a suspect.
Like, he shows up in 2 scenes, and when he shows up in the second scene, it's like, oh, they brought that guy back. And then you're like, why did they bring that guy back? He didn't do anything in the scene that they brought him back. And it's like, we needed a few more scenes with that guy to maybe, like, imply, like, certainly if we're getting to the point where it's all like, maybe a cop is against me, and he only sort of like implies that Wachowski is out, and it's all like, what if there are more cops? What if there are more suspects that he could point fingers at?
And if you're going to introduce Jack Black as a suspect character, you got to give him a better reason other than he's jealous of Peter Gallagher spending time with another woman. And if he is going to be a suspect, you can't make him a goofball. You can't make him someone you can't take serious.
The problem with that is that you've cast Jack Black in your movie.
They didn't know
goofball is implied.
They didn't know that Jack Black was going to go on to be fucking Steve from Minecraft.
Even at this point in time, Jack Black is still giving you goofball. Even when
because
he's showing up.
Whatever. I didn't like this.
Well, agree to disagree. Look, I'm not saying it's a hidden masterpiece or anything like that, but
you had a better time with it.
It's free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Johnny Skidmarks. What the fuck? I don't know.
Everybody loves Skidmarks.
It's a movie that you can see.
Yeah.
But there we go.
Yeah.
And it was great to talk about Frances McDormand. Like, definitely one of the highest caliber actors we'll ever end up discussing on this show. Like, this is the problem. This is why we've never talked about like Meryl Streep. It's like, yeah, they have nothing movies, but like they're usually like higher art than this, and it's lucky that Francis just happened to be in something this trashy and disposable. Perfect for our purposes. Jameson is checking his phone. He is checked out of this episode. He wants to leave my apartment so we can
I'm looking for Frances McDormand quotes. I forgot to do that on the way over here.
I'm sure you'll get there, but I'll take my time here. That was Johnny Skidmarks, directed by John Raffo.
Yeah, and we're talking about Coen Brother movies.
And we're talking about the Coen Brothers movie, actors, Coen Brother character actor miniseries.
There you go.
That's what we're going to call it.
That's what it is. That's right. I'm looking forward to this series.
Yep, me too.
I'm a big fan of all the actors that we've had slated to do this. And I'll take any opportunity to talk about Coen Brother movies.
Yeah, I feel like the individual actors that we have, and you can probably guess. We won't be doing Goodman because we've already done Goodman. He'll come up obviously. But
we won't do Clooney because he's already we've already done.
But like so you could probably guess who we're going to be talking about. But like the next 2 actors we're going to be talking about, I feel like we've had earmarked for a while, and then we just figured out, we could make this a Coen Brothers thing, and then we can finally have an excuse to talk about these guys.
Agreed.
But that was Johnny Skidmarks from 1998. If you like this episode, please check our back catalog of episodes. We're on Spotify and YouTube, but of course you already know that because you're listening to us on one of those platforms. If you go further back into the catalog, we are under the name of The Fuck Is This? Don't worry about it. It's the same show. It's Jameson and me and sometimes a guest, but we're just talking about a movie and we're just having some laughs. That's what makes us different from other podcasts.
Yeah.
We have fun. We'd like to thank Eddie Lamb for his fantastic theme music. You can follow us on social media, not the Nazi ones, but like the good ones. I mean, they're all a little Nazi, but like not like the really Nazi one. And I'm Kaz Lescard. You can follow me on Letterboxd.
I'm Jameson Raptor. I make YouTube cartoons, or I used to make fucking YouTube cartoons, but you can check them out on my YouTube channel.
And now you're doing this.
Now I'm doing this for now. I got another thing cooking in the works.
Good.
But, it's not animated though.
Oh.
Well, we'll see if it actually manifests itself.
If you're looking for some on-screen talent.
Oh.
I am unemployed.
I'll tell you about this off mic.
Okay.
All right. Frances McDormand once said, "There's more to life than a little money, you know."
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, eh?
Oh, yeah, sure, you betcha.
Yeah. Okay then.
Okay, bye-bye now.